Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everyday Excellence. I'm your host, Todd Baldwin, and today we have Dan Hanson, the owner of All by Design KC. Dan, how you doing this morning?
Doing great.
How's everything up in KC? I know you're up in Kansas City, Missouri area, or I guess it's two states, right?
Yeah, I'm on the Kansas side,
You're on the
so
Kansas side, okay.
yeah, everything's doing good. It's
That's always KC. I always forget it's a unique city there, Kansas and Missouri. So yeah, thanks for hopping on. I appreciate you taking the time to join us today and be on the show. So Dan, for all of our listeners hearing about All by Design Casey for the first time, give us a quick overview of what you do and what all areas do you serve.
so what I basically do is I am a landscape designer that works directly with individuals, or I work with companies that don't want to hire a landscape designer to be on their staff full time. So kind of like as a need need be basis, they'll contact me and say they have a project for me, and then I'll meet with the customer, get everything lined out, and then they have a plan to work from. So, yeah, been doing that for about 7 years, and it's been a great transition for me to just kind of focus on doing design work.
I got you. So I know you do a lot of design. Are you doing the installs too?
No, nope, I am just design only. So I will go out and meet some of the contractors if they need me to go out there, kind of do either marking out pools for them, marking out patios, or if just have some questions about anything, I'm able to go out there and kind of give them my input, things like that.
Okay. So design's obviously the beginning of that process, right? So try to create someone's oasis, if you will, in their backyard or whatever it may be. So design only. Okay. I've talked to a lot of landscapers since I started doing this podcast, and obviously they've got a design element, but they also do the install. I think you're the only one that's, hey, I'm a design only, right? I can design it, but then you're going to hand it off to the people who are actually going to do the work and get it all built and installed.
Yeah, I found that there was kind of like that niche there where you can spend all that time trying to go out there and install everything, try to take care of your crew, trying to get them materials. You're just bouncing stuff around all the time, but trying to get back to the office and then kind of focus on creating a design and have your mind totally focused on what that project is. It became pretty hard to be jumping from one to the other all the time. That's what I'm able to do is kind of allow them to focus on their business, grow their business, keep their employees stocked with all the materials and stuff they need, and then basically I just provide them with the design takeoff sheet and all that kind of stuff so that they can just turn around and sell that job and then give that to their guys to implement.
I got you. So my guess or assumption is then that's really what you like to do, the design part of, I guess, landscaping and so forth. Or would that be a bad assumption? They always say don't assume, right? So
Um, I like to preface it as I am a problem solver. So I think a lot of times some of the contractors even they're not really sure what to do or what can be done, and so they like to have me come in there with a fresh set of eyes and give them ideas, and then once we start having some ideas, we start bouncing them around, and we can kind of figure out what's going to be the best thing for the homeowner and the budget, of course, for the job.
yeah, and I guess to make that a little bit more clear, when I was talking to some of these landscape guys, I can tell one of the recent ones I recently did, I could tell like the design part of his business was like what he really liked doing. But he also does the whole install. Not that he said that was a beat down, but you could just tell his passion was in the design. And so if I'm hearing you, maybe you just said, hey, this is what I really like to do, and this is what I'm going to focus on. Because a lot of entrepreneurs, they're stuck in the business and they're doing all these things that they don't like to do. And maybe just a small percentage of what they actually do on a weekly basis is what they really enjoy, which it sounds like you're just the opposite. So, you
Yeah,
know,
I think basically, it's just even with my business, right? Like, I don't like doing the accounting and stuff, so I'm going to sub that stuff out to somebody
yeah.
else. have them do it so that I can just focus on what I like to do and what I do well at it, so that I think all that stuff shows up in the long run.
Sure. So tell us how you got started in this space. How long have you been in the design landscape business, right? And then what led you to start your own business in your entrepreneurial journey?
So my journey started way back in high school. I kind of started doing this stuff for my parents, just working around the yard. Noticed that I always kind of liked tinkering around outside. Even for my, I think it was like junior senior prom, we had to kind of create an event. So I created like this waterfall that went down these stairs and had all this kind of stuff for the prom. And along the way, I kind of lost track of all that. My parents had me go into the military. I did the electronics thing in the military, hated it. And that quickly led me realize, like, what do I want to really do? And if I enjoy what I'm doing, it's not really a job. So it made me pick up some books, and I started thinking a little bit about what the possibilities were. And I started kind of reflecting back on things. And I received some awards from FFA at the time for landscape design. And I was just like looking at pictures, and I was just like, huh, I wonder if there's a job that does this. And then I went to a flower lawn and garden show, and I started talking to some of the people there, and they were like, yeah, you can be a landscape architect or a landscape designer. And so then I started asking more questions, and then it was like, yeah, you can do this, go to school for it, and this is your profession. So I went to school for it and basically started working for landscape companies right out of college. And a lot of the times I was designing it, selling it, and then basically supervising the crews, making sure they put everything in correctly. Did that for several years and kept having people kind of tell me like, oh, are you the owner? Are you the owner? And I was like, no, I'm not the owner, not the owner. And I don't know, all those things kind of start clicking, and you're just like, huh, people keep asking me, maybe this is something I could do. I didn't think I could because of, had a family, had a baby on the way. And I was like, I got to have the structure, right? I got to have the salary. I got to have all these things in place. There's no way I could do this. And luckily, I got around some good friends of mine that started their own business, and they were like, I promise you, you can do this. You just have to take that leap of faith, do it. And it's been one of the best decisions ever since.
And that was, you said 7 years ago, basically, when you said, "Hey, yeah, well, yeah, congrats on taking the leap of faith." It's everybody wants to. Well, I've said it a lot on these podcasts, but everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, right? Until it's time to take the jump off the cliff, or time to give up the paycheck, because it's scary, right? I mean, you said you had a family and a baby on the way, and here you are, like, can I really do this? But I love that you said you had some friends, network, if you will, of people who started their own business that really encouraged you, because that's why I started doing these podcasts. I love talking to entrepreneurs, and I find after all these podcasts that I do and record, I always feel I just feel better about what we're doing. I don't know. It's like a motivational pill that I'm just talking, because I'm hearing other people's struggles and wins, and I get inspired, or sometimes it's like, wow, I thought my problems were bad, or so. Kudos to believing in those guys and them actually telling you, you can do this, Dan, go for it, and you've never, it sounds like you hadn't looked back. So any regrets in the last 7 years, or
No, no, no. Probably that I just wish I would have done it sooner.
done it
Um,
sooner? Yeah.
I think I think that's the biggest thing that I would tell anybody is, surround yourself with the right people that are encouraging you and lifting you up and making you believe in yourself. So,
Did you?
been fortunate to have that in families and friends and customers. Even a lot of customers that I've talked to are just same thing, just really good at that. So,
Yeah, that's great to hear. Did any when you start your own company and you're running a business, right? And like you mentioned, you don't accounting, right? It's not my favorite thing. So I've got a good bookkeeper, or I sub that out. And you don't know what you don't know. But what if you look back in those first year or two, what are some lessons you learned the hard way, or just because you didn't know that, you look back now, you're like, wow, I wish I knew this back then, what I know now. Anything jumps out at you from those early years?
Um, I think a lot of times we might think it's got to be perfect. Like we got to have, you got to have this logo just right, or you got to have the name. All this stuff has to be perfect. Like how are people going to find you or anything like that? And I really think it's just getting one foot out the door, and then as soon as you do that, you're going to figure it out along the way. I think that's the biggest hindrance is that people want to have everything lined up behind them, and I think that would be my advice is just get started. And how I kind of actually got started in it in a way like that was I was actually starting to do. I kind of created my business while I was also working for another company, and so I kind of started kind of dabbling in it, and I was like, man, can I do this full time? Um, Started talking to people, going out to different events, and yeah, I would say, really communicate with everybody, tell everybody what you're doing, and then people will kind of spread that word and it will all get out there.
Sure. And so you work with contractors that need help, right? Maybe they don't have a full-time designer, so that's where you come in. And then you also work with homeowners,
Hmm.
right, that are needing help design. And then you also said the DIY, right? Do it yourself guys. So how different are those three type of clients or customers or
Um, they're not all that different. I think one of the biggest challenges I probably face is just, when I try to tell people like, I don't have any skin in the game. My business is just the design. So I'm sitting there spending as much time as I can with you to make sure we get the design exactly how you want it. And I think a lot of contractors sometimes, they're just gonna throw this idea because they only have 2 hours to work on a design. So they're gonna throw something at you and say, here it is, here's the price. And then if the customer says, hey, we want to change that, a lot of times if they're busy, they might sit there and say, oh, I can't do that, or I'm going to throw a kind of a crazy price to it or something like that. So I try to tell homeowners and stuff like that. That's the benefit of working with me is I'm not going to try to focus you in on putting a paver patio in if I've got my crew of hardscape guys that need work.
sure.
Uh, so if they want a deck, I'll tell them pros and cons of a deck, or vice versa, and I kind of work through all that type of stuff with. Uh, all I'm trying to do is give them the best product so that they have the best end result, and then once we get that design finished, that's when I can try to find the right contractor to steer them to that can have all the equipment to do that job, the correct way for them.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that's an interesting point. A landscaper that does design and install could be pushing a type of design based off. I got a crew here that needs some work. I didn't think about that, but that totally makes sense. Whereas you're in there, you've got no skin in the game. When we chatted earlier before the podcast, you said every property is different, right? So is that what keeps the work exciting for you?
Absolutely. When I was in the military doing electronics, it was just mundane. I felt like a monkey could do some of these things, and so I needed something that was challenging and something that was different. And that's my biggest way I look at it is I'm just solving problems. So
Sure.
people can't envision what they want to do. They're not really sure what they want to do. And I've had projects where somebody wanted a pool. They had other contractors come out and say, we can't get a pool in there. And then I go in there, I'm like, well, technically, we can. It's going to be very small. It's going to be this way, and lo and behold, customer gets what they want. We get it, figured out how we can get them what they want. So it's always been a good fun project. It's a very rewarding job. I mean, I'm just dealing with happy people all the time, because they were just dreaming together. So we're just picturing these are the possibilities. Um, Contractors love me as well. It's just kind of great to, be around this industry this way because it's just, yeah, you're making the world a pretty place every day.
Sure. Hey, I like what you said there too. You're dealing with happy people, happy clients, because you're in dreamland, right? I mean, hey, this is what let's create it. All right, this is what we can do. That's the fun part of the project. And so when things go awry or schedules get delayed because of weather, or I'm talking about all the install, clients can get a little fussy or unhappy, and you're like, I'm done. I'm done with this project. So, you know, that's a great point. I never even thought about that. You really are on that one side of them being happy and, checking off the list. We got it designed. I've got it in the budget, and the issues you don't really have to deal. You may hear about them, but they're not calling you when, they're 2 weeks behind schedule or whatnot. So interesting. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, that's got to make it fun because, we're digital marketers. We have a lot of success with clients, but when we have issues, obviously we're going to hear about those too. But so that's cool. I'm curious. There's this technical skill part of your business and creativity, right? And I'm just curious how much success in the industry comes down to creativity versus the technical side, or is it even? Or
Man, I think it has to be a little bit of both. I think that's I think the plus side I have is I grew up on a farm, grew up with a dad that kind of taught me, like we can figure anything out, but there was a lot of just doing things with our hands. And so I have a lot of the construction side of all this stuff. I've installed patios myself, installed retaining walls, done all that work myself as well. So that's helps me when I'm thinking about designing it is how I'm actually going to build it. So then it's like I'm really trying to think of how would I construct this and build it, and being able to do that in my head helps me tremendously, I think. So that's kind of been my advice when I talk to some people that are going through school or anything like that. It's like, get out there and work in a nursery, or try to get out there and work in the field, see this stuff go in and see what it takes to do these things, so you have a good idea of the mechanics of how everything is going to work. And even my electronics in the military, it's all that stuff has really helped out tremendously on, when it comes to pools, even low voltage lighting, you know, 110-volt lighting, same thing. It's just there's so much things in there of knowing all the mechanics of everything that really kind of helps out tremendously. So
yeah, that's another great point because you've built so many of these projects or designs that you've done. I mean, and so you've got experience of actually how to build it too, which I think is obviously crucial to your success too. Um, on a side note, you've mentioned the military several times. What branch did you serve in?
I was in the Navy.
In the Navy. Okay. Well, thank you for your service. And we're so 4 years or
Yeah, I was supposed to be in for 6, and then I got a medical discharge due to I got my big toe cut off, and
ouch.
so that was a
Sorry to
medical
hear that.
discharge that got me discharged because I was a hindrance on a ship. If it started wobbling and
Okay.
I
Well,
fell off.
I didn't know that. We didn't touch about that before, so I hope I didn't bring up bad memories there.
No,
But I was
no, it's
very
okay.
sincere. Thanking you for your service in the Navy. So how big is your team? Let's talk a little bit about culture. Yeah, I mean, do you have other designers, or are you doing all the design work yourself, or just curious how big the team is, or
So I've got a office manager that helps me out tremendously. She's been a pivotal. I would give her a lot of credit to my success. Becky's her name, and she's um, kind of one of those things that has grown into her position. At first, it was just hiring her to do my base maps. So I would go out to the field, gather all my measurements, and then I just sent things to her and said, "Create my base map. Get me started to have all my base information on there, the address, north arrow, all that stuff, how I want it, so that all I have to do is open up the design and I can start designing." And since then, she's starting to do more and more roles, and now she's, even calling customers, setting up my appointments. She's kind of like my accountability coach as well. Being a entrepreneur, sometimes I feel like we've got to find ways to make ourselves, to push ourselves. So I basically kind of incentivize her to make sure that I sell so much work in a week. And if I do, I pay her X amount of dollars. And if I don't hit that goal, I pay her a different set amount of dollars.
Okay.
So she's got kind of like some incentive there to push me, and she does a great job of that. And then I've got another lady that I use, kind of remotely, send her some work as well if I get overwhelmed with too much work. Um, and yeah, it's one of those things I kind of juggle with it. It's a struggle sometimes trying to find somebody else that can do things the way that I like to do them. I'm in a way kind of like a perfectionist that way, so I can definitely see a design that I'll hire somebody else to do, and then I have to go in there and modify it and change it. But if I can get them to get it there 60, 60 or 70% of the way, that's still a huge time saving for me.
Yeah, it sounds like she's been able to really help just with, what like a base well, you said it's a base map, but and then just other things to help you kinda keep the ball moving because 'cause you're out selling as well, right? And then you gotta come back and build those designs. I like how, you said that if I sell X, if I hit my weekly goals, I pay her for the X, and if I don't so that's pressure because it's, if you don't hit the weekly goal, you said her name was Becky? Becky may be giving you side eye like, "Hey, what happened? What happened, Dad?"
Yeah.
She's still
It,
getting a check, but what happened here? That's some unique way to have accountability with, one of your key, team members. So, I like that. I like
yeah,
that.
it was one of those things where I knew, sometimes if I got a job done by Wednesday, I would kind of like start like, okay, well, I've hit my goal for the week. I can
Yeah,
kind of relax. And as I kept kind of talking to her, she was the one that was just like, "Why can't you hit that every week?" And I was like,
yeah.
"Well, I don't know. Like, I guess I could." And then she's like, "And if you do, pay me this, and I'll make sure you hit it." And
Make sure you hit it. So, how is she keeping you, is she just helping, like, when leads come in and stuff to get as far as talking to clients, get appointments set for you to go out and doing that type of extra, work for you to so really where you just, "Hey, lead came in, we've got a book call now, all you gotta do is go out there and talk to the client."
yeah, she'll contact them, kind of explain the whole process, how it works, what my time frame is before I'll get something back. Just answer any questions they have, and just really try to explain, like, this is one, it's not going to be a free design. Like, if you're trying to get a free design, we're not the company for you.
Sure.
But she does a great job of just explaining the pros and cons of it, so that and then on my calendar invite that she'll send me, it will basically say, here's what they're expecting, this is what the price is, and either I need to collect a check or send them an invoice for half of that or whatever it is, after that initial meeting.
Great job too charging for designs and not, free work, and when you first got started, did you do a free consultation or
No, I pretty much knew. I kind of started kind of playing with this a little bit when I was working for another company, and probably about a year before I went out on my own, I was like trying to tell them like, "Hey, quit quit giving free designs. Like, we need to start charging for this." And that was kind of my first test run at it to see how people reacted to it. And I had to kind of just start telling the staff there, like, "Okay, well, if that's what they want, they're not my customer. You can have them go to somebody else." But it's a great way to pre-qualify people, because if they're not willing to spend, X amount of dollars for a design, you're going to have a hard time giving them a price to do a patio, because, patios just don't cost $1,000 to put a patio in. And so you kind of have to have that expectation. So if you kind of start right from the get go of, here's how this process works, um, I think that's why a lot of the contractors like kind of working with me like that too, because I kind of set them up that way. And I tell my contractors like I'm going to be your best advocate. I'm going to basically try to make sure that hey, this is the client, the customer and client that you guys should work together with. He'll take great care of you, and I'll try to make sure that I have everything on there of letting them know like, hey, uh, there used to be a swimming pool that got filled in back there. Just so you know, so that they don't have any kind of surprise or anything like that.
Sure.
That I feel like sometimes homeowners can try to get things under some contractors sometimes, like, oh yeah, um, we want a patio to put in, and then all of a sudden you look up an old Ames image and you see a pool back there, and you're like, well, wait a second, what happened here, and when was this done, and how did they do it? So that there's not a huge change order whenever they go in there to put something in.
Yeah. I there's something too, I don't wanna say it feels good, but it does feel good to say no sometimes to new leads, right? Because you just realize, "Hey, they're not my ideal client." It also creates value because 'cause you're not I can't just show up and do this design for free, and, it's almost a reverse psychology sometimes too with clients because it's like, "Oh, well, wait, Dan, you referred to me," or I know, just creates that value. And now all of a sudden you tell them no, they don't want to miss out. And I've seen a lot of clients just do 180s. Back in the day, years and years ago, we just got to, we were just doing too much free work. Right. And so once we stopped that and if something's outside of the scope of what we're already doing, then yeah, I mean, we charge 195 an hour. We're happy to knock it out for you. Um, and it also makes sure keeps them realistic and as far as what they're asking and so forth. But yeah, I mean, we're a for-profit business as well. Sometimes our clients forget that. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I have to tell a lot of the homeowners, that are hiring me, and then they always ask me like, "What do you think it's going to cost?" And I basically tell them like, "You're going to definitely be able to do it cheaper. I promise you that. But what you're not going to be able to do, and what nobody ever thinks about, is like, how are you going to get that material to the job site? How much are you going to have to get? You have to get it from the most people don't even have the trucks the right size to be able to handle the tonnage of material that the job site might need. And I said, I've learned that mistake a long time too, of like trying to take out a burning bush, thinking like, oh, I can take this burning bush out with a shovel. And, it's just going to take me 15, 20 minutes. And then like an hour and a half later, I'm just like cussing at this thing, like, oh my
yeah.
God, I cannot believe how long this takes. When I start telling them those types of things, they're like, "Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no, I think we want to get some bids." And I basically try to tell them, like, if you want to save money, just mulch it afterwards. Save the mulching. You can do that. That's easy. That's light. But planting, preparing, drainage, any and all that kind of stuff, I would definitely try to have the contractor do that stuff for you.
Yeah, no, I did. That's all completely makes sense too. Let's talk a little bit about marketing. I'm just curious about how you get your leads or where your leads come from. I know you work with contractors, but you also work with homeowners. Are they doing Google searches to find you or
Yeah, they're doing Google searches. I think somebody told me the other day that Claude, they just asked Claude, and Claude recommended me. I ask a lot of people to give me Google reviews. Then it's basically just Facebook and Instagram. I'm not as proficient with that as I should be, but it's also right now I have a hard time keeping up with the work that I have right now. So it's really hard to kind of think about growing like that unless I can try to find some more people to help me do the designs. So it's kind of this sweet spot where I'm in of,
sure?
do I grow? Do I have, more of those headaches and try to get all that stuff solved? Or do I stay where I'm at and try to be lean and efficient?
Yeah, that's interesting. You mentioned Claude. We've been seeing our clients have been getting leads off AI, and we get leads from AI. We've always put a big premium on content when we're building out campaigns and doing lead generation, SEO or whatever it may be. Um, I'm curious because one of the things that AI is looking for is, trustworthy. So reviews are really important. How many Google reviews do you have? Do you know off the top of your head or?
Don't know. I'm like, it's not a ton, but they're all great 5-star reviews.
So you've
And
got some trustworthy, yeah, because they're searching the web, right? And so they're trying to find, especially AI, the expert, if you will, in the space for whatever it is they're asking, right? And people are learning very quickly that AI is a totally different animal than Google, right? HVAC or landscape designer near me. I mean, they're typing in these long, detailed questions of what they're really wanting and so forth, and asking for recommendations. And then AI will keep prompting you, right? It'll say, "Would you like me to do this, do this?" And so cool that it showed up. Did you have any idea what they actually typed in the cloud
I
or?
have no idea. He just basically said, he goes, "Yeah, I found you on Claude. I hear you are like the best in Kansas City, and you are the guy that I need to talk to." And I was like, "Okay, well,
Well,
great."
that's good. You've got some trust signals coming from your website, your profile. Something is dictating that. It's interesting. I know when you ask clients how they found you, if they say Claude, it'd be my experience. If you could get a little more out of them, it would be beneficial, and actually write that data down because there's a big shift, like especially like in websites, what we call answer only websites, where your website's designed can still be designed to show up on Google, but also answering the questions that you think people are asking about your industry. You're trying to position yourself as the expert around, in your example, landscape design and all the things that homeowners are thinking about or asking and researching for someone like you. So interesting to be interested to know what he actually threw into Claude. But yeah, Claude's amazing. We've been knee deep in Claude for a while. Use chat a lot, so it's not going away. That's
No,
for sure.
no, it's definitely beneficial, and I use it for responding back to people sometimes. Like, so helpful sometimes. I'll try to write up my explanation of the design,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, "Hey, chat, make this sound better," and
It
it
is. It's crazy how efficient it is. It's also, like with emails and things, people are now like this is kind of funny to me because it's all you hear about is AI and how great AI is. I use it for this, use it for that. But then I hear people like, "Oh, I just immediately delete like Chat GPT emails. I can tell it came from Chat GPT." So I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. So now you're complaining because you get this AI generated email, you think, but yet a minute ago, you were just talking about how great AI is. So, where are
uh,
we going? What are we doing here? But yeah, no, it's cool. So I use it a lot for responses as well. And it starts to know you, right? It starts to know your cadence and what it is that you do. So we have to be knee deep in it because our clients are asking all the time, how do I show up in AI? How do I get cited in AI? You mentioned when I talked to you before that you're really busy year round, right? And so what what shift did you do or what caused that to be when I think of landscapers and we're in season, right? And so February through early summer, then when it starts getting really hot, it may slow down. But what is it that you're doing or figured out to stay busy year round where people are needing designs?
it's basically just trying to inform everybody, even contractors, to kind of be promoting, like, spring is going to get busy and there's going to be a backlog. So anything that you want to do next year, let's say it's November, right? Like, spring is going to be here before you know it. What better time to kind of like start working through a plan? Let's get things figured out and get everything stacked up so that you can be ready to enjoy it come the first day of spring, and you're able to set back on your new patio. There's a lot of guys that are doing swimming pools, so that alone right there takes a lot longer to kind of get that in place. Um, I think that's the mix of like what I have found to make it work is trying to find the small companies that are just softscape focused, and then medium-sized companies that are hardscape and softscape focused, and then you got the pool contractors that are another one. So having a mixed bucket, so to speak, of all these different people around you helps make that a smoother year-round transition.
Yeah, we work with a lot of home service guys, and when we work with our landscapers or, people in that space, I find the guys that are really successful and do well, they do a lot of that planning, right, in November and December and even as early as October. It's like they catch their breath after the season, but they gotta say, "Hey, we gotta start planning for next year. What's our strategy?" Because once it hits, they don't have time to think about it, right? And so
Yeah.
if there's no planning in the off season or when you have some downtime, you can get behind really quick. You could have a really big dip in lead flow. There's things that could really affect your business. Why are my leads way down? Well, we did no planning in November, right? Because everything is always changing, especially with digital marketing. It's just it's changing at warp speed right now. So, yeah, you're kind of talking the same lingo we talk with contractors. We need to sit down and have a conversation because I'm going to get busy and you're going to be a backlog. And it sounds like you're already pretty full as it is. So,
Yeah.
I guess if you to grow, you would have to bring in another designer. Is that something you've thought about or?
I have thought about it, and, it's just always I tell contractors this all the time too. It's very hard because if you have somebody that's just like you, right, you have to try to find that right mix of somebody that, um, just doesn't want the headache of trying to figure out all the other stuff of running a business. So if you can find that person, then hold on to them because, that's a very value add. The other part of it is you have to just be accustomed to they're not gonna be, let's say, 100%. They might be just an 80 percenter, and you have to kinda be okay with that and just know that that's what it is. Because if they had all the ambition and if they had all the drive and they had all this stuff that like you do and you wish that they would work 60 hours a week to get all this work done, but, they just wanna get their 40, collect their check, and then go out and, have a good time. Well, that's the big difference, and if they were the other way, they would then realize that they can go out and start this business themselves, so
Sure. Kind of, yeah, you know, do I move forward? Do I not? Pros and cons. It sounds like having that conversation. As we kind of start to wind up our conversation, I've really enjoyed visiting with you, Dan. I'm curious what excites you with your business, over the next 2 to 3 years.
Um, I think just, yeah, continuing to see, all of the, outdoor I feel like ever since COVID, people have really been drawn more to being outdoors, and there's just so many new products every year that, people are making, whether it's different fire pits or, um, there's just always something new that gets created, and then all the hardscape manufacturers come out with new products as well. So it's just really kind of fascinating to see how these outdoor spaces can be created. And now there's all this faux wood, aluminum structures and things like that that people are making pergolas out of. So it's just a truly low maintenance environment that can be created out there. And it's neat to be able to, yeah, see how all that space can be transformed. And you know, knowing that I can get people to love being outside and try to get kids outside and families outside to enjoy their space. That's definitely my motivation.
Yeah, I love seeing all the kids outside, off the technology. One thing that's driving me crazy with kids, when you said talk about being outside, it made me think of my son who's just finished his freshman year in college, but and that kid rode his bike everywhere. Like he's always just been a goer. Like he just wants to go. Always with his buddies, riding their bikes all over our town. And now I see all these e-bikes, and I'm like, these kids are not getting any exercise, and they're dangerous. They're going 30 miles an hour down the street.
Yeah.
And, and then I'll see the kid with he's got his helmet, but it's hanging off the handlebar, right? So he must put it on when he left the house. But I'm like, I look at my wife and say, I'm so glad these things weren't here when our son Cash was that age. Cause he wouldn't have got the exercise they did from just riding the bike, right? And much more dangerous. But yeah, the whole outdoors and COVID, you're right. It did bring everybody outside a lot. I mean, it was what a crazy time. It seems like golly, it was just a few years ago, but man, the all our customers in this home service space, they all had record years too, which was crazy, right? Because people are they're at home. They're looking outside. They're like, I'm tired of looking outside. Let's fix it up. So,
Yeah.
did you experience that? Did you have big years during COVID?
Well, yeah, absolutely. It was
Yeah.
like one of the best years ever to just see, yeah, everybody, didn't want to go on vacations. They were just ready to fix up their own place. So
Yeah, no, it was, now business owner, I talked to the clients been with us forever, and he's like, "Yeah, we're back to COVID numbers, right? Because they had this big spike, and then they went down, and now it's like, yeah, we're back to what we did in COVID, but we had to grow back to that level because it was such a boom." Alright, so I have a couple of questions kinda off topic I've been asking people of late. Podcasts. I'm wondering if you listen to podcasts, if there's any that you could share with our listeners that you've liked or you've gotten good value out of, or maybe it's just something to, you know,
So yeah, I listened to Lewis Howes' School of Greatness. Love his. He's always got an array of different people on there. He's got one I listen to in the morning when I'm doing breakfast called the Daily Motivation. So it's just a little short little blurb so that you kind of have just this little kick to get your day kind of started on that. And then this other guy, it's an app, but it's a Brennan Burchard growth day, and same deal. It's just like this little uh, 5-10 minute motivation thing that I listen to on my way to the gym, and I find those things are the things that kind of really kind of get me fired up to get out there and hustle and get it done in the day.
I like it. I like it. I'm compiling a list of different podcasts. I do a lot of walking, so I'm always looking for something new to listen to, or maybe it's just a quick and easy, motivational type thing as well. I like all that stuff. So I appreciate you sharing that. I've had a couple who say, "Well, I don't listen to podcasts." I'm like, "Well, all right, well, how about a book?" But yeah, no, podcasts are so much out there, so much good content. What about a saying? Do you have a saying that you like a one liner, or I'll give you an example of one. This actually came from John Hewitt of Hewitt and Jackson Hewitt Tax. I actually did a podcast with him from a referral from another client. Interesting man. He's in his 70s, super successful. Also started Liberty Tax, but he said, "Hey, he's all about the entrepreneur and working hard and being self starter, right?" So his simple saying is, if it is to be, it's up to me. Right. And so I thought that I like that one. So I'm going to steal that one, John. Do you have anything that resonates?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have one. I don't remember who said it, but it's ever since I saw it, I'm like, yeah, that really resonates with me. It's life is to be spent, not saved.
I like that.
And how I take that is like we can go through our life and we can kind of always be like, "Oh, I'll wait and do that later," or I'm gonna not be fear of injuring myself, so I'm not gonna do these things. And I think we're supposed to spend this life, and so we're supposed to just get out there and enjoy it, do all these things, and because we never know when our last day is going to be.
I like that one too. I've been collecting these as well. So I like that. Thanks for sharing those with us, Dan.
Yeah.
Last question. I always like to end on because there's a young Dan Hanson out there thinking about start his own business. Could be design, it could be array of different businesses. But if someone came to you looking for advice, what would you tell that young entrepreneur or young person wanting to start their own business? What was some advice you'd give them?
Oh man, my advice would be find something that you love doing and create value in that. If you create value in that, that's how you're going to succeed at it. So you just need to be thinking about how you can create value to somebody else. But if you love what you're going to do, it's not really, you're not really working a job. That's when I think about my job. It's like people ask me all the time, like, well, what are you going to do when you retire? I'm like, man, I think I could do this till I die. Like, I enjoy it. It's fun. It's exciting. So I think if you do those things, and that's from my life experience, if you can try to find something that you love to do, you're going to find a way to make money at it because you're going to enjoy doing it. And people are going to see that enjoyment and they're going to want to hire you to do those things.
I like it. Yeah, it's find something you're really passionate about. I think is obviously crucial and create value. I think that's great advice, Dan. So, hey, you were one day, you know, that same guy asking your friends or, "Hey, can I do this? I've been dabbling my toe in it. I think I can." But yeah, congrats on all that like I said, taking that leap of faith. Dan, I appreciate the time. It's been great visiting with you. For our listeners out there, if they wanted to find you guys, what's the best way to contact you guys, and get a hold of All by Design
Yeah,
KC?
we have a website, just allbydesignkc.com, and then we're on Instagram and Facebook. So any of those, you can kind of follow me on that, and then you can kind of see some of the contractors that I work with. They're tagged on some of that stuff as well, so you can kind of follow them as well, and kind of see the designs come to life through these other contractors that I work with.
I'll definitely go check out your social media channels too. I'd love to see some of the work and things that you guys are posting as well. Dan, I appreciate it. Again, thanks for being on. If any our listeners would like to talk about digital marketing, you can always find me at everydaymediagroup.com as well. Dan, it's Wednesday, it's hump day. Enjoy the rest of your week. Hope you have a great season. And like I said, thanks for being on the show.